Hello everyone and welcome to this session running PowerShell in Vim. First, a little bit about myself. My name is Andrew Pruski. I'm a field solutions architect at Pure Storage, but before that I was a SQL Server DBA for around 15 years. I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, Docker Captain, VMOV expert, general all-around SQL Server nerd. My contact details are on the slide there, at dbafromthecold on Twitter, and my email, dbafromthecold@gmail.com. So if you have any questions after this session, like, Andrew, why would you do this? Please feel free to reach out. I'm always willing to talk about this stuff. The blogs are as well, posted a few articles about how to customize Vim for running PowerShell. You can check those out. And then my GitHub account. I have a repo in my GitHub account that has a whole bunch of config files for customizing Vim, and I will post a link to that exact repo at the end of this session. But on to the session. The aim of this session is to take you through my process of using PowerShell in Vim. But before we get on to that, let's address the real elephant in the room, and that is why? Why would you want to do this? Well, the reason for this really is because I was studying for an exam, and the only text editor available to me in the exam was Vim. So I had to get used to at least the basics of it. But when I finished the exam and I came back, I was like, could I use Vim in my day-to-day work? And I'm a SQL Server DBA, and I use PowerShell quite a lot. So can I use PowerShell in Vim? And before we go even any further, I also want to point out that this is all just for fun. This is just a bit of a laugh because, honestly, I was so preoccupied with whether I could run PowerShell in Vim, I never actually stopped to think if I should. I am not suggesting anything here is to replace other editors like, say, VS Code. This is all about just, say, creating an environment basically to replicate V8 code and have a stripped down, lightweight editor customized exactly how I want it. So let's get into the process. Well, how did I initially run a script in Vim? Well, the first one was to open up Vim, write the script, save, write, and exit, :WQ in Vim, navigate to the script in PowerShell, and then run the script. There had to be a better way. How can we say, let's start off small. How can we write a PowerShell script, say a one-line command in PowerShell, and execute it without actually having to leave Vim, run it within Vim itself? Well, to do that, we write the script. Let's do a really simple one. PS_version table.psversion, :.w, bang, PowerShell. And that will open up PowerShell and run the script for us within Vim. We don't have to leave Vim, we've got it there. Excellent stuff. But okay, how many of us here only ever write single line commands? Not a lot of us. What about a multi-line command? Well, this is where we start getting into modes. We write the command, highlight it in visual mode, then colon it. Vim will automatically put that dash bracket, W, bang, PowerShell. And there we are. We've executed a multi-line command in PowerShell. That's pretty cool. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. But what about if we wanted that terminal open all the time? We just didn't want it to open when we executed the command. But again, we can do that in Vim with : below space term, and that will have the terminal open up for us. So we can highlight text, copy it, drop down into the terminal, and execute it. So we're getting there. We're getting even further there, but it's still not quite right. And this is where we start going down a rabbit hole. We start getting into customizing Vim a lot. And the first thing we look at is the vimrc file, which is where we can configure pretty much absolutely everything in Vim. If you go online, there are hundreds of thousands of blog posts about how to use this. Now on Windows, it lives with C users username Vim files, and we can do things like set the color theme, set the default terminal. I switch between PowerShell 7 and PowerShell 5.1, for instance. We can create shortcuts and create abbreviations. Now, shortcuts thing is really powerful because in the previous slides, we were highlighting code, copying it, dropping it down into the terminal, and then executing it. With the shortcuts, we can simplify all that by just a one-button command, and we can run it within Vim. Another really cool thing about Vim is the ability to install plugins. And my favorite plugin is something called NerdTree, a file tree explorer for Vim. Install a plugin, or you can just pull it down from GitHub. Other repos will allow you to add file icons as well, but be warned that this will slow Vim down quite a lot. And remember, the whole point here is to have a lightweight, fast text editor. So what did we end up with? What did I end up with? Well, that would be this. This ended up with my Vim setup. I've got my File Tray Explorer on the side where I can open up code and I can execute it down in my terminal. We're kind of looking like VS Code here. It's really, really, really cool. And if you want any more information, please feel free to check out this GitHub repo where it has all the configuration files there. Thank you.